Quincy's Blue Devils, Jerry Leggett. Jerry, were you pleased with your team's performance yesterday? I know you won, but, you know, sometimes winning you're not even pleased.
I was pleased with the second half. We played very well the second half, but I thought the first half we were depending too much on our all-state young men, and they held us in there until the other kids sort of got into the ball game in the second half.
You had an injury to one of your starters, Mark Sparrow, yesterday on a knee. How's he today?
His knee's perfectly fine, and he could have played yesterday. We do have an ankle injury to the point guard, Mark Kaufman, but he's going to play anyway.
Quincy has such a sparkling basketball team, and it does something else. It has a wonderful following. The enthusiasm that this program has, it must make you very happy.
It really does. I don't think any community in the United States could support their high school basketball program better than Quincy, Illinois.
What kind of pressure is there on you and the kids with this phenomenal 64-game winning streak and unprecedented try at two unbeaten state titles?
There's a lot of pressure on the youngsters and on the coach. Now, the coach has been through it many years, but these kids just come into that pressure, you know, the 16th year of their life and the 17th year of their life, and it's off again. But I think they handle it pretty good, actually. They're sort of getting immune to it because they've been under that gun all year long.
One final question. A good team you're playing, Mendel Catholic. What problems do they present for you?
Well, the two All-Staters, Hampton and Banks, have to be contained. We're not going to be able to stop them, but we've got to balance them out with our two All-Staters, and the other three young men got to win the game.
Jerry, congratulations and all the best.
Thank you very much.
Jerry Leggett, the head man of the Quincy Blue Devils. Now we're going to ask for the young, fine head coach of Mendel Catholic, Mike Flaherty. And Mike, you've got the big challenge in front of you today. I'll bet you're looking forward to it.
Well, a little reluctantly, yes.
Talk about what kind of problems that Quincy presents to any team that they face.
Well, I think the big thing with them is it's not even that they have so much more talent than everybody else, but they have such a great reputation and program, and I think a lot of times you go in and you're so intimidated by that it affects your game. And we just, you know, we told our kids that, you know, you're playing 5 other kids, and, you know, just go out there and play.
You know, I think there's a lot to that. The psychology of Quincy's press and Quincy's name and his following, it has to be overcome.
Sure, you start thinking about the press, and that makes it doubly effective.
Are you going to do anything different against Quincy's pressure?
Well, we're going to do something different, not by choice, but by design. Our starting center came down with the flu, so we've had to make a switch, and so we're not going to do quite as much full court pressure as we have in the past, because if we get in foul trouble, we're really kind of, you know, thin on the front line.
Well, congratulations on your work so far, and good luck.
Okay, thank you.
Mike Flaherty. Now let's go back to Art Kimball.
We have Earl Lee, the basketball coach, or former basketball coach at Heron in the 1957 state champions. Earl, you beat Collinsville in that ball game. I imagine you remember those moments fondly.
Yes, we do. That was a great ball game. Collinsville led us up till the closing minutes of the first half. We were able to take the lead at the end of the first half, and then came back second half and were able to beat them by 42-45 at the end of the ball game. All the boys did a real fine job.
It seemed to me it was tied in that third quarter, and you outscored them coming down to the wire. Is that right?
Well, yes, in the third quarter, but then we got ahead of them. We were 5 points ahead of them at the last few minutes of the ball game, and we were able to make the lead stand up.
Well, that was a great Virgil Fletcher Collinsville basketball team. Virgil's going to be on a little later between games. What are some of those players? Tidwell, Box, Goldoni? What are some of those people doing these days?
Was Tidwell, Box, Gildoni, Jefferson, Williams, and that's about all of them, I guess. Those 5 were the 5 starters.
What is Earl Lee doing these days?
I'm the principal at Cahokia High School now. I've been principal for about 4 years. Got into administration about 10 years ago. And we've got a fine basketball program going at our school now. And we keep trying to get up here, but can't quite make it.
Well, Earl, it's really a pleasure having you on, and look forward to maybe Heron being here and winning that championship again, just like you did in '57. Thanks for being on.
Okay.
Now back to Frank at the bench.
Okay. All right, Dick Campbell, thank you very much. We're moments away from a basketball game that a lot of people are looking forward to, as Mendel Catholic's Monarchs are 29-2, but you just heard Coach Mike Flaherty say that their starting center, Craig McInnes, he's 6'2" senior, is back at the hotel. He's sick with the flu, and he's not here, and he's also questionable for this evening. So that's a factor, and we'll be back with the game in a moment. One of your network sponsors is Country Companies Insurance. with an old friend from Chicago DuSable, now at this Public League of Chicago, as an official, Jim Brown. Jim, welcome here to the tournament.
Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to get down here and enjoy some of this March Madness.
You had some wonderful basketball teams in that Chicago DuSable era.
Yeah, we were, in those years, very fortunate to get down here. Of course, we didn't play in the Assembly Hall. We were at the old Huff Gymnasium back in 1953 and 1954.
What were some of those great names from those teams?
Well, you got to start with Paxton Lumpkin.
Yes, sir.
Sweet Charlie Brown, Shelley McMillan.
Oh, indeed.
Two kids we graduated mid-year, Curly Johnson, Bobby Jackson, and Carl Dennis, McKinley Constant, those kids, you know.
What a wonderful team that was, and the series of teams that you had. Tell us what you're doing now.
I work still with Chicago Board of Education, in administration, in the Bureau of Health, Physical Education and Recreation and Safety.
Jim, that Marshall team played well. They got a little foul trouble. It was just that close coming down to the wire, but weren't you proud of them?
Very proud of the Marshall Ball Club, Luther Bedford, and the group. They did an excellent job. I just felt they had a few problems early on tracking. They weren't able to unleash today and run as typical Chicago Ball Clubs usually do.
They didn't shoot free throws well. They had to play from behind all night. You know, as a coach, how tough that is when you're playing from behind. You can't do some of the things you'd like to do. You can't dictate terms at all. You're always adjusting the other people. But, boy, Marshall, Stiffen, two super players, huh?
Marshall and Stiffen, those are the kids who got in foul trouble. Of course, they hung in there, you know, through the conclusion. But we're very proud of Marshall.
And we're very proud to have you on the show, and thanks very much coming over.
Thank you so much.
Jim Brown, now let's go back to the bench start, Kimball.
Okay, Frank, thank you very much. And we're just moments away from Mendel Catholic against the Quincy Blue Devils. In the lower bracket semifinal, of course, the winner will move in against the East St. Louis Lincoln tonight for the Class AA Tournament Championship. The Monarchs come in with a record of 29-2, and of course, Quincy is 31-0 with that 64-game winning streak. And the Blue Devils certainly have been rolling very, very capably in this tournament. There's no question about that. There is some illness in the Mendel Catholic camp. We understand that Craig McKinnis, their starting center, is back at the motel ill with the flu, and he is certainly not going to play this afternoon, and he is very questionable for tonight as well. So we're about ready for the introduction to the starting lineups. We're just about set to get underway with the intros. And now to Tom Trin in the Assembly Hall.
Gentlemen, let's meet the people involved in our second semifinal game of the day. First of all, for the Monarchs of Mendel Catholic High School in Chicago. Their record, 29 wins, only 2 losses. The head coach of the Monarchs, Mike Flaherty. Number 10, Kevin Ambrose. Number 12, Rodney Jetter. Number 15, Keith Rogers. Number 20, Mark Dunn. Number 21, Leonard Thomas. Number 24, John McCorkle. Number 30, Cy Fields. And now let's meet the starting lineup for the Monarchs of Mendel High School. At forward, a senior, 6'3½", number 33, Andre Banks.
Here's one of the best players anywhere. Banks averages 19 a game.
At forward, a senior, 6'4", number 42, Mike Henson.
Another super shooter averaging 19 points a game.
Starting at center for the Monarchs, a junior, 6'3", number 50, Satirial Harris.
He's starting in place of Craig McInnes, the usual starting center who has the flu.
At a guard for Mendel, a senior, 6 feet tall, number 14, DJ Johnson.
Don Johnson averages 4.2.
And a guard for the Monarchs, a senior, 5'10", number 25, Jim Williams.
Playmaker Jim Williams averaging 6.2 points a game. The Monarchs of Mendel Catholic. They're a team that can press. They like to play the 1-3-1. They play some zone defense. They're from the Chicago Catholic League. Now we're going to meet the team that's won 64 games in a row, Quincy Blue Devils.
And now let's meet the Blue Devils of Quincy High School with a perfect record of 31-0. The head coach of the Blue Devils, Jerry Leggett. Number 3, Doug Bruner. Number 4, Jim Darnell. Number 12, Tracy Lewis. Number 20, Scott Douglas. Number 32, Jeff Klingler. Number 52, Shane Barnes. Number 54, John Sherman. And now the starting lineup for the Quincy Blue Devils. At forward, a senior, 6'2", number 10, Mark Sparrow.
There's the young man who was injured yesterday, averaging 6.5.
At forward, a junior, 6'5½", number 50, Dennis Douglas.
Looking strong, averaging 17 a game.
Starting at center for the Blue Devils, a senior, 6'7", number 44, Tim Huseman.
He plays all over the court, averaging 10.5.
At a guard, a senior, 6'1", number 14, Mark Kaufman.
Kaufman coming off a good game yesterday, averaging 10 a game.
And a guard for Quincy, a senior, 6'3½", number 24, Bruce Douglas.
One of the premier players in high school basketball, the high school All-American Bruce Douglas, 6'3½", senior, averaging 21.8 points per game. The officials for the second game here today are Marvin Carlson, the left, and Larry Nemmers is over there on the right. One of your network sponsors is John Deere.
If you've been waiting for John Deere lawn and garden equipment to go on sale, now's your big chance. Because right now, participating John Deere dealers are having their annual down-to-earth value days sale with savings of from 40 cents to over $400. But you'd better hurry. The sale ends May 31st. And with savings like that, you won't want to let any grass grow under your feet. Down-to-earth value days at your participating John Deere dealer.
Sony, along with Art Kimball and Dick Campbell at the Assembly Hall. You see Mendel of the Chicago Catholic League North, and of course Quincy of the Western Big Six South. Let me say right at the outset of the game that this game would be normally done in play-by-play by our friend Art Kimball, one of the fine veteran broadcasters we've ever worked with. And Arthur, we're sorry about your laryngitis, and I hope that I can do as good a job as you would have on this ball game. You're a champ. The Blue Devils and the Monarchs in the starting lineup. Here we go. It comes off to the Blue Devils. Look at Huseman, layup. They always run out of a tip play, and here we go again.
The same one. Well, the problem will be, can Mendel's guards handle that pressure up front?
Such a psychology to this, too, this awesome Quincy winning streak. Inside it goes to Satirial Harris. Rebound, Bruce Douglas. Quincy, an overwhelming favorite. Double dribble on Bruce Douglas. I was about to say an overwhelming favorite a year ago, and they swept to the championship. A favorite this year. I don't think you can add the word overwhelming.
No, right. The pressure of that string must be the biggest thing that the Blue Devils have to work against.
25 is Jim Williams in the backcourt along with DJ they call Don Johnson. Quincy's leading, and we've just started. Andre Banks is stripped by Dennis Douglas. Houston's way ahead of the pack for a stop. And the place is up for grabs already. Quincy brings the people, and they roar as the blue wave continues. Williams comes up on the left. 10-second violation. The Quincy defense works. And there's young Mike Flaherty.
It's a big part of Jerry Leggett's approach. He likes to come out and steamroll you right off the bat. And that awesome record of theirs has something to do with that. You stand around a little nervous for a while, then you're in trouble.
14 is Kaufman, and 10 is Mark Sparrow. Huseman in the far corner, active around the court. Lob to Bruce Douglas, missed a left-hand tip. Dennis sent it up there, and Bruce couldn't get it. Now Jim Williams comes across to Don Johnson. Johnson turns and gets back outside. 6:35 in the first quarter. Mendel Catholic needs a hoop to get themselves their confidence up here. Right corner, Hampton missed it. Bruce Douglas rebounds. Watch the Blue Devils run. In the middle, pull up and stop. Turn and shoot, Douglas.
He can do it all.
6-0. This is where so many teams are beaten by Quincy right at the start of the game. Quincy comes out, tries to press to overwhelm you. Here's a high lob pass along the baseline to Hampton. He's a good shooter. He missed that, and a foul on Bruce Douglas under the goal. Let's repeat that the starting center for Mendel Catholic is at the hotel. The foul there was on
Bruce Douglas.
Bruce Douglas, or yeah, no, they call it now on Dennis Douglas. Craig McInnes, the starting center for the Monarchs at the hotel with the flu, a 6'2" senior who tipped in the winning goal for Mendel, will not play. Satirial Harris there in his place, misses. Rebound, Andre Banks. And a foul again on the Blue Devils.
On Bruce this time.
There's Bruce Douglas. Says he'll go to the University of Illinois. And Bruce and Dennis now with one apiece. Mendel still looking for their first hoop. Jim Williams lobs in the corner. Don Johnson has one up and not good. Look at Banks get up. He puts it back. Miss again, but Banks finally followed it in.
He's a quick jumper. He gets up there and hangs.
He was really skying that time.
They very well. It could be Banks against Douglas for 4 years of play here against Iowa against Illinois.
We're in the semifinals. Quincy as Kaufman missing. Rebound, Bruce Douglas. Dennis Douglas for a barging layup inside. 8-2, the Blue Devils. And you know, Quincy, they're more likely to get to these games than the national anthem, the way they've got everything going for them. They've got the team, they've got good coaching, they've got just a great program going, and they're going to be a handful for anybody to beat. But I'll guarantee you, Mendel Catholic will give it a shot, and so if it need be, East St. Louis Lincoln. Baseline Hampton is hemmed in, and it's out of bounds to Mendel. Look at Mendel Catholic's 29-2. They've only lost 2 games as Jerry Leggett looks on. De La Salle and Bloom, they'd like to go inside here against Quincy and see if they could.
Well, that's where Banks operates. Hampton's got to supply the outside shot for them.
Williams lobs inside. Hampton's loose. There's that inside game.
Nice execution.
8-4. Walking it up is Mark Kaufman. Quincy starts forced, seniors, and Dennis Douglas, the junior. Bruce Douglas turns and shoots. It's not good. Rebound out of bounds to Quincy.
Mendel is playing that extended 1-3-1 zone defense. It's packed back now, but they'll stretch out in this passing range.
Bruce Douglas out to Sparrow. Mark turns away from trouble. Quincy 8, Mendel 4, and the ball is right here. Producer Joe Pate showing some good hands at the table. Quincy in the white, trimmed in blue. The Monarchs in the navy blue, trimmed in their white. It's Dennis Douglas. And Sparrow outside. There's Bruce Douglas along baseline left. He might be anywhere on the court. His shot is missed, but his rebound is not good either. Rebound tapped around this time and picked up by the Monarchs. They're going to run against Quincy. Hampton's coming down. He pulls up and shoots. Boom. Hampton has 4, and I see Mendel Catholic bounced back after that early spurt by Quincy. Mendel's right there, 8-6. They're working with one player short. McInnes, their center with the flu. Dennis Douglas. Huseman starts left. He beat his man, but his man Hampton swipes the ball away from him and out of bounds. Good defensive work there by Mendel. 12, Tracy Lewis checks in to the Quincy lineup, replacing Mark Sparrow. Quincy lines them up 4 in a row on the out-of-bounds play, and they send it out to Huseman. He's 6'7". Dennis Douglas operates low, 2. 4 for Big Dennis. Big at 230. Don Johnson comes down the court and clears over on the side to Satirial Harris. One of the favorite names. Harris along baseline right. Comes back outside. Quincy's in his zone. Here's Johnson looking for Banks. He's on low on the baseline. Now he posts up in front of Bruce Douglas. They try to get it in, and Bruce steals the ball and wheels down the court to his brother Dennis. Behind the back to Kaufman. Missed it. Bruce Douglas fouled. You see the pass by Dennis Douglas?
Yeah, they know one another so well, and they just seem to do something to surprise you every trip down the court. We'll take another look at that.
Rebound coming down there to Bruce, and there's the foul somewhere in the mess. 2 shots, Bruce Douglas. Missed it. Quincy's ahead by 4, 10-6. You know, the Quincy fans come from everywhere. Gerson family called me, said an attorney from LA is coming here to meet at the field, at the Assembly Hall. Peoria, Stan came down there, their mother came. Everybody's joining together just for a family reunion at the Assembly Hall, and Quincy basketball is like that. 11-6 the Blue Devils. Here's a high long pass to Hampton. 3-on-1. Banks is inside. Dunk.
Smooth. Very nice pass. They're a good passing team, Mendel, and they're going to be patient down there against that basket defense of the Blue Devils.
And 4 points apiece for Hampton and Banks. We're at the 3-minute mark, and there's timeout with Quincy leading by 3. One of your network sponsors, DeKalb Ag Research. The state champion with the most wins, Dolph Stanley's Taylorville team of 1944, a record of an amazing 45-0. The Blue Devils lead by 3 minutes to go in the first quarter, and Mendel stayed with them to date.
This 1-3-1 defense, number 14, Don Johnson out there, he's got long arms, creates some problems for people passing out in the front.
Tracy Lewis got inside, but he was rejected by Satirial Harris, who's pumped up tonight. Well, today. You get inside, you forget it whether it's day or night. Inside it comes. Sparrow almost tipped away there by Don Johnson. Had his hand on the ball. There's Mike Flaherty out of Lewis College. Gary Leggett, the coach of Quincy, out of Beloit. Bruce Douglas, baseline left. He's about 12 feet from the goal. He gives to Kaufman. Kaufman is 14. Bruce almost lost the handle. Goes to his brother Dennis along inside. The shot is not good, but Lewis, the little guy, is in there. Puts it up, missed it. Dennis comes back, stripped. Jim Williams picked it off. Satirial Harris out ahead. He's tried to get the pass, and he lost the handle to Kaufman. 4 turnovers on Mendel Catholic. 2:19 to play. First quarter. Bruce Douglas wheels inside. Dennis. 13-8. Dennis Douglas with 6. And Quincy's lead is 5. Hampton comes along and throws a high lob to Banks along the baseline. Banks turns in, shoots it off the glass for 2. Andre Banks, he has 6.
Satirial Harris playing in the middle of that zone, a very crucial position. He's only a junior. His statistics offensively are comparable to McInnes, but he may hurt them just a little bit because he's not as experienced on this particular team.
There's Bruce Douglas operating in this lane. This time it goes to Kaufman, who pushes and scores. Mark Kaufman's first goal, and Quincy's ahead by 5. 1:26 to go, opening quarter. Andre Banks on the move. He stopped. Pulled up before he could walk. Andre Banks reminds me just a little bit, you watch him, of Jamal Wilkes of the Los Angeles Lakers, even facially. Outside right side, it's John Johnson. There's a lob inside the Banks. He's got it. It's slapped out of his hand. Taken away by Quincy. But Quincy loses it back. The ball's on the floor. And a jump ball. Bruce Douglas and Saturiel Harris.
Coach Henson would have liked that. There's the All-Stater, the All-American diving for the loose ball. Coaches always want to make sure that their players are not reluctant to skin their knees on things like that. That shows you the competitiveness of that young man.
Interesting to note that many young men are announcing their choices so much earlier than they used to. Take some of the pressure of that recruiting off.
Yeah, where were they when I was recruiting in college and we went all the way into May and June?
For sure. By the way, in recruiting, Tim Huseman apparently is going to head for Nebraska Omaha. He's number 44 for Quincy. And he's got the ball there, but it's over and back against the Blue Devils. And with 1 minute to go in the first quarter, Mendel Catholic has the basketball. Harris goes out. And for Mendel 24, John McCorkle, a 6-foot senior, is in. That's Jim Williams coming with a left-hand dribble. McCorkle on the right corner. They're looking inside. Hampton posts on one side, Banks on the other. Hampton's on this left corner. He turns along the baseline and sends it home. Hampton with 6. And Mendel's within 3 points. Jerry Leggett just crossed his arms in an X. Let's see what that means. Left baseline. Huseman starts and stops. Inside Bruce Douglas. He shoots it home. Oh, I tell you, 5 points, Bruce Douglas. He appears almost everywhere on the court. Once at a guard position, once at a forward, then at the pivot. Along the baseline, Hampton's coming him again. He's got 8. Hampton keeps Mendel right there.
He is a pure shooter. He gets up beautifully, straight up, nice high release. Picture shooter.
Oh, would he be a college forward a little bit taller? Maybe he will be anyway. Here's Dennis Douglas shooting. The ball tipped in the air, and that's the end of the first quarter of play at the Assembly Hall. In our second semifinal, Quincy by 3. One of your network sponsors, Country Companies Insurance. There's your statistics in the first quarter. The Blue Devils shooting 42%, the Monarchs 50%. Blue Devils had 5 more shots, no free throws for the Monarchs. Quincy out rebounding them 11-7. Monarchs have 5 turnovers to Quincy's 2.
We'll look for adjustments in that Blue Devil press and consequently to see whether Mendel will able to adjust themselves. That's been a factor in the Quincy's approach. They keep doing things differently out of that press.
Quincy's unbeaten, of course. Jerry Leggett says, you know, I said all year we'd have 2 losses, and if I'm right, Saturday's going to be a long day. And I'll tell you what, the odds are somewhat against that. Coming to the left, Williams looking inside. McCorkle still in the lineup, number 24. Remember, the starting center, McInnes, not here. He's at the hotel. He's suffering with the flu. And we hope that he can return and play this evening. Here's the shot up and not good. Tipped out by Dennis Douglas to the running Kaufman. That's a tip out that Quincy, that's an actual play that Quincy practices, is tipping out the rebound to a fast break. Bruce Douglas. And McCorkle rebounds. He's a 6-foot senior. Way down on the other end, it's Hampton who turns and shoots and scores. Mike Hampton has 10 points. And, well, you told me coming here that he was a good shooter, and he certainly is that.
He's been on a rage here for the last 3-4 weeks. It's just been incredible.
Shoots field goals at better than 60%, and there's a foul called on Mendel Catholic here. With 7:05, Quincy's got a 1-point lead, and Mendel says, this is for real, fellas. We can play you. There's Jerry Leggett, resplendent in his pink and burgundy outfit today.
We saw last night that Mendel, if they have to, can go to a good man-to-man. That probably won the game for them against Peoria Manual. So they're not just a one-dimensional defensive team, but this is their best defense, their basic defense.
Bruce Douglas is baseline right. He kicks it back outside to Kaufman. Tracy Lewis is 12, and there's Dennis Douglas on the baseline. Huseman's in the middle. Now Kaufman goes inside, tries a left-hander that's no good. But look at Dennis Douglas use his strength.
He holds up a lot of space under there, and he's always in excellent position. He uses those big hips of his to an advantage.
He's got a fast 8 points, and it comes on the right to Don Johnson. DJ across the court to McCorkle. Along the baseline, Andre Banks has the ball slapped away and out of bounds, but Mendel Catholic controls. This is their first appearance ever in the Final 8. And there's their young coach, a 69 graduate of St. Rita. There's a lob outside to Don Johnson. 6:28 to play. Quincy leading by 3. We're in the first half of the second semifinal. In case you tuned in late, East St. Louis Lincoln is in the finals. They beat Chicago Marshall. Mendel working around the periphery of the Quincy zone. McCorkle's going to try one from 18. It bounces no good. There's your tip out, start of the fast break. Huseman, left side. Huseman kicks it out of bounds.
Well, they do that nice, don't they? And they get you worrying about it, so you start to evacuate the boards, and you're not going after those second shots because you're going to be in fast retreat if you don't get out of there.
The last 4 years, Quincy's record is 122-4. Right side, Johnson. Here's the ball, goes in the middle to Hampton. Hampton had the ball knocked away from him. Bruce Douglas comes up on the glide. He twirls away from one man, gives the ball to his brother. The ball goes to the floor. Watch this scramble. Loose and picked up by Mendel. Mendel down by 3. They penetrate. Hampton. Hampton misses. Quincy ball. Well, nobody makes them all. Hampton's come close here today. Huseman way outside on the left. He comes in. Dennis Douglas adjusts and shoots and misses, and he had to try to shoot it over a leaping Mendel player and didn't do it.
Mendel's defense is doing a fairly adequate job of containing Quincy.
Rhythm jumper by Williams is not there, and Huseman rebounds. And both teams doing well on their own defensive board. 5 minutes to play in the first half, and the Quincy crowd says, come on, Blue Devils. They're up by 3. And a foul called against John McCorkle. His first team foul, number 3 on Mendel.
A little out of control there, McCorkle. Part of what he's got to do is get his hands up, and he kind of got up and got into the Kaufman out there in the front as a ball hammer.
Now Mendel makes an interesting substitution. Satirial Harris comes in at 6'3" and 205, and they take out a guard, Don Johnson, so they'll put McCorkle back out into the front court. Bruce Douglas, foul line. Look at Hampton go up there. Hampton had the ball knocked away. This Dennis Douglas has such quick hands. He slaps a lot of passes and balls that the other team has. Just gets his hands on a lot of them. That's Hampton inside to Banks. He steps in and missed the layup. Tough break for Banks. Kaufman goes by a man. He's picked up by Williams. Pulls up and shoots. Off the board and misses, and Hampton's there again. Now Mendel tries to cut it to 1. 4:24 to go. First half of play. Jerry Leggett just walked over and behind the Quincy bench. He's back over by the cheerleaders. Inside the lane. Left-hand move by Jim Williams. Pretty play.
Very nice, yes. And, you know, I think Quincy's showing a little humanness here. They're not really capitalizing on opportunities. They're missing some shots.
19-18. Mendel's right there. 4 minutes, first half. Huseman inside Dennis Douglas. Didn't look to score that time. The defense of Mendel's been impressive. Lewis shoots for Quincy, and it's home. Tracy Lewis, the 5'10 junior, gives Quincy a 3-point advantage again. Mendel's got to avoid that Quincy burst if they can. And they've got to keep getting the ball in the hands of Hampton and Banks. McCorkle looks into Satirial Harris. Can't find him. Quincy's in a zone defense. It's probably a 2-3. McCorkle goes in the paint. Misses. Satirial Harris. Rebound. Mendel. Blocked by Bruce Douglas. Hampton scored it.
Hampton stays right with that shot. I really I hate to repeat myself, but he's such a picture shooter, and young players out there watch that finish with that high hand, that swan's neck. He's a great shooter.
12 points and a bad pass by Quincy's Lewis. Out of bounds to Mendel, and Mendel shoots for the lead.
Hampton coming out. They need to give him a little rest. He's a little tired.
Well, his right arm's tired. He's got 12 points. They're adjusting, of course, but he's just been a fine performer. And McCorkle is in the backcourt now with Jim Williams. 25. They get Don Johnson back in the game, 14, and Banks goes into the pivot. Mendel could take the lead with a hoop here at 2:50 to go in the first half. And wouldn't it startle this crowd? Here's McCorkle up and not good. Who's got it? Huseman on the rebound. Tipped away by a streaking Don Johnson. And whose ball is it? Now we got a disagreement, I think, between the officials, because I heard one of the officials say blue and the other pointed to Quincy. Quincy ball.
We'll take a look at that. I think it was called correct as they give it to Mendel. Here's the...
Look at that. Look at that.
He touched it right before it went out of bounds.
Now is the timeout call on the court at 2:41. A good game, and Quincy leads by one. One of your network sponsors, John Deere. One of two champs with 40-plus wins is Paris in 1947. Ernie Evelyn's team ended 40-2. Here we got 2:41 to go in the first half, and Mendel's right there. Quincy has committed 6 turnovers, Dick.
Mendel's playing loose. You know, I guess they figure they've got nothing to lose, and they're the deep underdog, and they're playing very well.
They certainly are. Soterial Harris is in the corner, and it comes out to Williams. And they're playing without one of their starters, Craig McInnes, who's ill and not here. They've got another sub in the game right now. Here's a shot out of the corner by Andre Banks, and it's home. Now let's see. Mendel has the lead over Quincy with 2:17 to go. And look at them. They believe. There's a pass deflected and stolen by Mendel. Here they come. Banks glides to the goal, too. And Mendel has turned it on at the Assembly Hall.
A nice defensive play to get the ball off to their money man and watch him hang. Bounce, bang, and he hangs up there, goes down. He is awfully good at drawing that three-point play.
What great body control Andre Banks exhibited.
Andre wants out of there for a little bit. He's a little tired.
Here comes his free throw. It's not good. Rebound Quincy. Quincy's down by 3 points, and there's 2 minutes to go in the first half. Quincy is shooting for 65 straight. They're 31-0. Here's the pass to Kaufman. He starts to the right. Inside it goes to Bruce Douglas in the lane. He's blocked and fouled by Soterial Harris, who said, "I didn't do it."
Well, once again, it isn't necessarily contact. It's the position. And he went straight up, and it looks like he got wrapped. He got it with his body, I think, down there, which you couldn't see. And, of course, the officials will always tell you it was with the body, even if it looks like he got the ball.
Bruce Douglas has 5 points. And the all-everything performer has 2. The Quincy fans say whoosh. And the scoreboard says 24-22 Mendel. Everything you always wanted in a player and more. Bruce Douglas, 1:45 to play. And Mendel holds to a 1-point lead. They've got Andre Banks out for a rest. Quincy's in his zone. Don Johnson. High post is Hampton.
Yeah, there's a change here now. They're extending it out, a little more active. They're double teaming on a 1-3-1.
Goes into Hampton for his turnaround. Look at Mike Hampton operate downstairs, 14.
Mendel's very patient, an excellent passing team, and, you know, whatever you throw at them, they're going to look it over. They're not going to get excited and hasty.
Remember, Quincy exploded to about an 8-2 advantage, and now it's Mendel by 3. So they have played extremely well. Dennis Douglas lobs to Bruce for the tip-in. Set play, and Bruce Douglas puts it home. He has 9.
That's an impressive play. They go to one another on that. They lay it up there by the ring, and he can jump up. They can always be there, and then he goes up after and hangs and lays it home.
The brothers Douglas do their thing. Here's the ball stolen, but stolen back, and now we're going to get a jump ball. As Don Johnson had the ball slapped out of his hands, and I think Bruce Douglas will go in against him, and Bruce is at 6'3½", but a very excellent leaper. DeKalb Ag Research and your local DeKalb dealer would like to say thank you for the nice comments about our network coverage of these basketball games, and they're proud to be co-sponsors of these telecasts. Frank Bissoni along with Dick Campbell and Art Kimball at the Assembly Hall. Quincy now shoots for the lead. They have a chance. They're 1 down. Dennis Douglas whirls in the lane and puts it up and home.
They're resourceful. The Douglases lay their ears back and take it to you when they get a little trouble.
They play to their potential, which is exceptional. 27-26 Quincy, a half a minute to go in the first half, and Mendel Catholic throws it inside to Hampton, down and up. Was he fouled? No, the ball came loose. Ball is now loose on the floor, and Bruce Douglas, first one to it. He heads to the baseline, stop and pop. Rebound nicely grabbed by Andre Banks. He speared it. 10 seconds. Mendel will have 1 shot. Here's a near steal by Quincy with 4 seconds. Mendel has the ball. 4 seconds. Both coaches reminding their players that that's all there is in the first half. It'll likely be an outside shot if Mendel gets one. Quincy's covering up down low. Williams. Don Johnson pulls up, gives it to Hampton for the shot. No good. The end of the first half. Quincy, 27. Mendel Catholic, 26. And what an exciting first half in our semifinal. The winner of this game plays in the championship tonight against East St. Louis Lincoln. We'll continue at the Assembly Hall in just a minute. At halftime of the second semifinal of the day, Quincy leads Mendel Catholic by 1. Earlier today, East St. Louis Lincoln advanced, as you look at the Blue Devil mascot, by defeating Chicago Marshall 57-54. Now Marshall will play in our third place game tonight at 6:15 against the loser of this game as the Palatine band strikes up a song for the crowd, Palatine Friend. And the winner, of course, will go against Lincoln in the title game here this evening. Your scoring looks like this. 2 men operate for Mendel. Hampton with 14 and Banks with 10 to lead the way. Williams with 2. That pretty move in the lane with the left hand. For the Quincy Blue Devils, 2 men again, the Douglas brothers, Bruce and Dennis. It's Dennis with the 10 and Bruce with the 9. Houston has 4, Kaufman with 2, and Lewis with 2. Sparrow played and did not score. Bruce Douglas has 2 fouls for Quincy. Dennis Douglas 1, so nobody in real foul difficulty. 2 fouls on Andre Banks, who is Mendel's top performer, along with Hampton, of course. 1 on Harris, 1 on McCorkle, and that's all the fouls. A very foul-free first half of play. We'll be back with a halftime interview, and there's your scoreboard. One of your network sponsors is Country Companies Insurance.
Dick Van Syok, the basketball coach at Peoria Manual, with us. And Dick, a heartbreaking 1-point loss in the dying second last night to this Mendel ball club, but your kids played well. Congratulations first for being here, and secondly, you can't be too unhappy the way Mendel's playing in this ball game against Quincy.
No, our team took it pretty hard last night after the ball game when you lose a tough one the way that one ended, and it took them quite a while to get their composure in the locker room, and after we got back to the motel, and I'm sure that they're feeling much better right now, sitting up here watching Mendel play Quincy this afternoon.
Yeah, the question was for a lot of circles whether Mendel could play with Quincy, and I think probably Mendel comes in pretty loose, don't you?
They look loose, and they're taking their time. They're being very patient, and I feel that they're playing Quincy exactly the way they have to play him.
Exactly. Mendel's 2 kids, Andre Banks and Mike Hampton, have 24 of the 26 points, and of course they're super players, one from the outside, the other from the inside. It seems to me that Banks also is taking the challenge of Bruce Douglas out there too. They're not necessarily faced off defensively, but I think he wants to show that he can play on the same court with Bruce Douglas. Those Douglases are a pair, aren't they?
Well, one of the papers kind of took a swipe at Andre Banks this morning. I don't know which one, but they kind of questioned if he should be on the floor with Douglas, and maybe this has a little bit to do with his play this afternoon. He's a great player.
Lou Hansen asked me, since we had played against Mendel, can Banks hit the shot out on the court? And I said, well, we don't know that. Well, we did see it in the first half. He got up into a nice-looking jumper. He just hasn't had to, so I think he's got that tool, and just the way Douglas does. I think the 2 of them would possibly be playing against one another, Iowa-Illinois series, probably about 8 times in 4 years, and we'll just see the beginning of it here today.
Dick, thank you very much. We're a little out of time, but again, congratulations for a great year at Manual.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure, Art.
Dick Van Syok, the coach at Peoria Manual. Now back to the bench and Frank Bassoni.
There's your halftime score, Quincy by 1. And it was interesting, we were observing that sports writer for the Champaign News-Gazette, Joe Millis, wrote an article and asked coaches, is your team a reflection of your personality? The answer from Jerry Leggett of Quincy, and I quote the newspaper, probably too much. Some coaches are player-oriented, we're system-oriented. Maybe there's too much of me in the teams we put out. We work hard, we're obnoxious, we love to win and hate to lose. Those things are a reflection of the coaching they get. I'll talk about Mike Flaherty's answer to that question from Mendel Catholic when we come back. One of your network sponsors is DeKalb Ag Research. At the halftime. Again, a question asked by Joe Millis, sports writer, is your team a reflection of your personality? Mike Flaherty of Mendel Catholic says, very little, I hope. I can't jump or play defense. We play pretty disciplined, and we take good shots, and that's something I never did when I played at St. Rita. We tell our kids they have to play aggressive, hard, all the time, and they do. There's your halftime statistics. The Blue Devils, 41% from the field on 12 of 29. The Monarchs of Mendel, 13 of 30 for 43%. Very close. Blue Devils, 3 out of 4 foul shooting, and they lead rebounding 19 to 16. The turnovers are dead even, and so's the game. Quincy's leading by 1 at 27 to 26. Back with the second half in a moment. One of your network sponsors is John Deere. Well, the Blue Devils are back on the court, and I would have been interested to be in that locker room on either side to hear what Jerry Leggett or Mike Flaherty had to say. Dick Campbell, what do you think Jerry Leggett had to say at halftime?
Well, he's a very resourceful coach, and they have a lot of tricks in their bag. I don't think it's a matter of adjustment. I think it's a matter of just time for Quincy. And, you know, Mendel is playing super. They're shooting well. They're handling everything. And they're trying to extend a little more pressure out here on the half court with a little more active defense. Now, so far, Mendel's handled that too. So I don't know what's left, but he's always got something in store, something to come out with at a moment of need. But maybe they'll adjust that press itself up the court. We'll have to watch that too.
You think Mendel Catholic will continue to try to keep going to Andre Banks and Mike Hampton?
I think they have to. That's how they got here. 24 out of their 26 points up to this point. Yeah, I think they will, and they don't overdo it either.
All right, now repeating ourselves, there's your halftime score. Craig McInnes, the starting center for Mendel Catholic, is not here. He's at the hotel with the flu. Satirial Harris starts in his place, number 50. Mendel starts with the ball, and that's something that turned around from the start of the game. To start the second half, Mendel's got the ball. They're 1 down. Quincy's in a 2-3 zone. They've got Dennis Douglas in the middle of it low. Sparrow is on low one side, and Huseman low the other. Out front on the zone, Bruce Douglas and Kaufman. Jim Williams went to shoot, turned around, the ball came loose. Hampton picked it up, and he shoots. It's no good. Dennis Douglas taken away by Satirial Harris, and he missed it point blank. Good defensive play, and then he missed the shot. Bruce Douglas comes down and throws it away. Bruce had his pass ahead of the intended man on the left wing, Mark Kaufman.
Again, they're showing their humanness, and Coach Leggett is, you know, not the confident, bouncy individual that he usually is on that court side in the last 2 years anyway, so they're struggling just a little bit.
Well, you know, they can't be as good as they were last year when you take a 6'10 Michael Payne out. There comes Andre Banks. It's going home. And Jerry Leggett, you see him just shake his head and a blue towel over the shoulder, and Mendel's got the lead. This is not to denigrate this Quincy team at all, believe me. Now it looks like one of the Mendel players has maybe a muscle pull or something.
It's Andre Banks out there. He's got a cramp or something.
Yeah, he's rubbing off a cramp maybe.
Lute Olson just passed out.
Yeah,
paramedics are coming down to him.
Not to mention Mike Flaherty. Yeah. What Dick Campbell's referring to there is Andre Banks says he's going to attend college at the University of Iowa. There's his free throw routine. And he puts it in. Mendel by 2, 29-27. 7:05 to play in the third quarter. Dennis Douglas goes inside and belts it in. And he's fouled. And the game is tied. And there's strength.
He matches that three-point play by Banks. He's got such a nice soft touch. Here goes the younger Douglas. Dennis coming down, whirls with that right hand going to the left side, puts it up on the glass.
Douglas, Dennis misses, tipped outside again. That was Huseman had his hand on it, and Quincy keeps it. The game is tied. The Blue Devils with the ball. Huseman's going to try it from 15. It's there. Tim Huseman hit one. Quincy by 2. Now Mendel comes back. Jim Williams comes to the left. He's at the foul line. Nobody guarded him. He shot it up, missed it. Don Johnson rebounds. His shot is partially blocked. Quincy's got a tip-out break running. Bruce Douglas up ahead to Kaufman. Blocked by Hampton. Rebound by
defensive
Bruce
play.
Douglas. Wasn't that a great defensive effort by Hampton? Huseman has it blocked again. Kaufman is fouled by Andre. Traveling. Traveling. 10th turnover on Quincy. I was a little premature.
Yeah, I saw it that way too, the contact, but apparently Banks knew something had happened prior to that because he reacted immediately.
Yeah, he started down the other end of the court, and Mendel had the call. Now they could tie it up with a basket. 6:20 to go in the third. Frank Bissoni, Art Kimball, and Dick Campbell at the Assembly Hall. It's Class AA championship. This is the semifinal.
2-1-2 zone employed there by
Hampton to Banks to the basket. 15 points for Andre Banks and 14 for Hampton. They have 29 of Mendel's 31. This game is tied. Mendel Catholic, representing the Chicago Catholic League in the dark blue. Quincy trying to take the lead. Sparrow and Bruce Douglas. Huseman fakes to the right, goes to the left, and shot is missed. Let's see who the foul is on. It's on Mendel. I think it's on 25, Jim Williams. His first. And Tim Huseman is going to go to the line and shoot 2. He's 6'7". He shoots free throws 82%. One more. Big House at the Assembly Hall watches as Quincy takes the lead by 1. But Dick, as you've observed, Mendel is playing cool or playing under control, and they do not appear to be intimidated. 2-3 Quincy zone. They shouldn't be intimidated. They have a fine basketball team, but Quincy has an aura with that winning streak. They are the defending state champions. Williams sets up and shoots. He missed everything, wasn't quite ready. Huseman rebounds and Quincy runs. Shot along the baseline. Inside it goes to Bruce Douglas, slapped away. The defense around the basket's good. Dennis Douglas tries, and Bruce tips once. Bruce goes after it. Who's got it? Mendel. Mike Hampton's got it moving. Hampton 2-on-2, pulls up, shoots, rolled off. Soterial Harris grabbed the rebound, and Dennis Douglas fouled him.
those two number 50s, Soterial Harris and Dennis Douglas, look a lot alike physically. They're about the same body builds. Here it is, a little contact in there, and Dennis looks up with that benign look.
A look like that, and no, he could do no wrong.
This is his birthday, you know.
Today?
Yes, he celebrates it every year by winning a state championship.
All right, Quincy by 1. Dennis Douglas is trying for candles on the cake. Baseline, Soterial Harris charging. He's an emotional player, and he's just 16 years old, if you can believe it, only a junior.
Yeah, that sort of matched fouls down in there, down the line, and he gets across and establishes that position as he's expected to in the middle of that 2-3 zone. That's his third foul, and he's the backup center here for Mendel Catholic, as Craig McInnes is the starting center, who's ill. The 1980 Class AA state tournament being co-sponsored by country companies, and it's nearly 1,000 agents. Hope you're enjoying it. Inside, Dennis Douglas gets free. He missed his layup. Oh, Bruce Douglas made a spectacular rebound, then lost the ball to Mendel. Quincy by 1. Mendel on the scoot. Andre Banks pulls up and runs it up. Not good. And a rebound. Foul on Mike Hampton. Over the top went Hampton. Yeah, that's a classic example of him being out of position and reaching over the top. It would be a no call in the Big Ten, but in high school basketball, that's a foul. Quincy on the move. They lead 32-31 with 4:25 in the third. Sparrow tries it from the left baseline. It's got it. Mark Sparrow. His first boot. Quincy by 3. And now 24. John McCorkle comes in, and Soterial Harris sits down. McCorkle is a 6-foot senior. That change affects Mendel's, that Soterial coming out of there changes their attack quite a bit. Now they have to put Hampton in there in the middle on defense and then put him back inside on offense also. Lose considerable weight and strength inside. Johnson
Now they're a quicker team, perhaps. They're quick anyway. Here's a lob over on the side to McCorkle. Looked at the shot and passed it up. Williams doesn't know whether to pull the trigger, decides to, and misses. Who's got the rebound? Andre Banks. He has it batted away by the Blue Devils. Sparrow got his hand on the ball.
I think Banks went up. I don't think he knew where that man was from behind him. I think he thought he was going to go right up, and it came from that backside. He was positioning himself against the defensive man in front of him.
Yeah, he had a sure, too. He fakes his one man out of position, gets it inside to Hampton for a layup. Nice move.
It shows his passing ability. These two kids are so unselfish, passing to one another. Banks has gotten all of the publicity all year, but Hampton's been able to stay right there without affecting him.
31 of the 33 points for Mendel, those two. Shot Sparrow, missed that time. Mendel has it, they're down one, they're on the move. Williams pushes it up. Baseline, McCorkle, 10-footer, good. McCorkle hit it, and Mendel has the lead. When's the last time Quincy's been behind in the third quarter? Huseman comes down. Fight. Ball is tapped away by Mendel.
Mendel's able to double team out of that 1-3-1, and they try to keep track of those Douglases with a double team, but they're such good passers, they got to be a little careful if you double team a Douglas. He'll find the other one wide open.
Faking to the left goes Bruce Douglas, and he stocks it in. Bruce Douglas under control. He has 11. Quincy takes the lead back. Quincy has stayed primarily in a 2-3 zone defense. Lob in the corner, McCorkle fakes and moves. Pass goes inside to Andre Banks. He had it poked out of his hands by Tim Huseman. There's Andre. Now we have a timeout on the court. There's 2:37 to play in the third. Quincy by 1, and we'll continue in just a minute. That's one of the undefeated state champions, Mount Vernon of 1950, coached by Stanley Changman. They also won in 1949. Mount Vernon, live action, 2:37 to play. Quincy leading Mendel by 1. This normally would be the game Art Kimball would be doing the play-by-play on, but he's fighting laryngitis. Frank Bassoni here trying to help you through this one. Jim Williams outside with the basketball. Quincy having their hands full with Mendel Catholic. Inside, the pass is knocked away, and Mendel picks it back up. That's McCorkle with it. East St. Louis Lincoln won a spot in the finals earlier today, turning back Chicago Marshall. Mendel being very patient around the zone. Hampton inside along with Banks, and they exchange, and Hampton shoots it home. Hampton has 18.
The Banks to Hampton and Hampton to Banks is almost as effective at times as Dennis Douglas to Bruce Douglas.
Well, Mendel has the lead back at the 2-minute mark, and here comes Bruce Douglas to Dennis Douglas. Thank you. 14 points for Dennis Douglas. The dynamic duos on both ends of the court. Double trouble. On the side, McCorkle looks. Team's shot selection's been good. Jim Williams hits outside his second basket. Gives Mendel the lead, 39-38. And what's going to happen here? 1:33 to go, and Mendel stayed right with Quincy. In fact, has the lead. Inside, Dennis Douglas lobs and has the ball slapped away. Bruce Douglas turns. He has it poked away. Boy, Mendel getting their hands on a lot of the time on the ball. McCorkle playing some D. Huseman's outside. Dennis Douglas goes downstairs, and a whistle. See what we have. Foul on Mendel. Number 20 for the Monarchs. Checking in is Mark Dunn, 5'8" junior. You know what they call him? The Ant. Number 20. And there's 42, Mike Hampton, who committed his second foul. So now, Mark Sparrow, an 83% foul shooter, would give Quincy the tie, then the lead. Not good. Andre Banks rebounds. And Mendel comes up.
Four corners, going to call him out.
That's what it is. It's four corners.
Quincy hadn't been in this situation too often.
For sure. Jerry Leggett's got head on his hands. Mike Flaherty's directing some traffic. The high post outlet is Andre Banks. Outside, 20 is Mark Dunn there with the ball. That's McCorkle in the corner. A lot of reserves in the game. Dennis Douglas anticipated. Here he comes, thundering to the basket, and he's held, and a good foul by Johnson.
Good foul. Get him early and get him hard, and don't let him get the shot off. I think he wanted to stuff that when he had that. Oh, he's pretty quick. He get out there and run for a big guy. There it is. He raked him across. Couldn't even get the shot off.
Now Dennis Douglas, 68% foul shooter with 14 points in the game, has missed his only free throw attempt. Missed that one. This one could tie it. Mendel believes they can. Dennis Douglas. Quincy, 25 state appearances, enough titles to choke a hippopotamus. And here they are in a game of their life against Mendel. Their winning streak is on the line.
Ooh. That ball was almost intercepted there.
Hampton to Banks. Banks has it slapped away. It's on the floor. Jump ball. The game is tied at 39. There's 22 seconds, and you saw it there as Sparrow wiped his forehead. John Deere and your local John Deere leader, proud to be part of these telecasts, and they hope you'll be with us tonight at 6:15. Third place game first. Then we crown the 82 AA champion. Doing a little mopping up. And now there's 22 seconds in the third quarter, and we're jumping. Who's got the ball? Quincy. Jerry Liggett says one shot. He just taps his hand on top of his head, calling a play. High post, Bruce Douglas, 12 seconds. Quincy trying to take the lead. Sparrow, baseline. He shoots. Good! Sparrow to count! Mark Sparrow, a key goal! Foul was on McCorkle. What a key time.
Sparrow gets up. The shot is good, and there was a foul after the shot, or with the shot. It wasn't after. Part of the shot.
He has 4. Now he has 5. Quincy by 3. 5 seconds. Big play in this game. 3, 2. Johnson shoots. Ooh, it just went out, and that's the end of 3 exciting periods of play. Blue Devils 42, Monarchs 39. One of your network sponsors, Country Companies Insurance. The three-quarter statistics: Quincy shooting 44%, the Monarchs 41%. Quincy is 6 of 11, and the Monarchs only 1 out of 2, a difference at the foul line of 5. 7 more rebounds for Quincy, 2 more turnovers for Mendel. Quincy has a 3-point lead.
No particular foul trouble for either team. The Douglases each have 2. Soterial Harris has got 3.
Soterial Harris is back in, and he has the ball as Mendel starts with it. Well, we come to the final quarter, and Quincy has a 3-point lead, looking for the 32nd win in a row this year. Johnson holds and looks. Hampton goes down the low to Banks. He fakes once. He turns, and he is fouled. Banks is fouled by Sparrow. Remember, Sparrow's important 3-point play at the end of the third quarter.
Here we'll take a look at Banks. He's trying to get a little room in there. Goes up, catches him right there on the elbow. Is this perhaps reminiscent of a week ago when Lawrenceville had to get by a stubborn Herser semifinal game in order to preserve their undefeated string?
Banks sinks the foul shot. He has 16, 2 out of 4 foul shooting for the team. Andre Banks.
Excellent concentration. He's got a ritual.
Hit them both. Quincy by 1. Jerry Leggett's amazing. He's talking to people here along the sidelines. He's laughing, he's talking, he's intense, he's in the game. He's all over the place. Sparrow on the left. Huseman is free. Gets it down there to Dennis Douglas, who missed point blank. Rebound Hampton. Mendel could take the lead back. Andre Banks is free, but Huseman made a spectacular defensive play. Dennis Douglas downstairs, missed again. And a foul on Mendel, and Dennis Douglas missed a couple of layups. What a brilliant defensive play by Tim Huseman.
spectacular defensive play and turned it right around. It was going to maybe go against him. Here he comes down, got hit early. The foul was called on number 25, Jim Williams.
Well, Quincy has a 42-41 advantage. Dennis Douglas just put in his 16th point of the game. He averages 16-9. Quincy 7 of 12 as a team. Foul line. Quincy back to a 3-point lead. Now Mendel must come back again. Had 2 tight semifinal games. Williams exchanges and comes back to the top. Satirial Harris. They want to go down to Hampton or Banks. Their 2 big scorers are posted on either side of the lane low. Johnson fakes, moves, looks, whips it inside to Hampton for 2. Hampton with 20 points. And Mendel's back within 1. Mendel won't go away. They keep their nose right there. And Quincy keeps coming back. Sparrow again. Good again. Mark Sparrow. 7 points, and as he played a big role here. And he was injured yesterday. 3 points for Quincy, their lead. 6:24, still a lot of time. Jim Williams around and out. Look at that tip. Hampton's inside. It didn't go, and he's fouled. These are strong rebounding clubs. Foul is on Sparrow, his second.
Quincy has had only 6 games decided by 8 points or less this season. Chicago Weber, they beat 65-63. Rock Island, 72-64. St. Louis D-Cemet, the state champion in Missouri, they beat them 67-61. Danville, 58-55 during the regular season. Moline, 74-66. And Chatham-Glenwood, 36-32 in the regional.
Mike Hampton has a 20-point game going. He's got Mendel within 2. Can't say enough about some of the performances that we've seen out here. And here's one of the fine ones. Mike Hampton, a 6'4 senior. Missed that. Quincy's 2 ahead with the ball. 6:15 to play. Now let's see if they go to Bruce Douglas. Houston comes up. Bruce goes to the high post. Look at Banks' quick hand. Dennis Douglas to Bruce Douglas to the shot and to the basket. 13 for Bruce Douglas.
Just incredible the way he delivers when they need one. He just didn't go to miss.
Darrell Royal used to say, you dance with who brung you. On the right, Mendel works the ball around Quincy's zone. And looking inside, Banks is low. That's Hampton. He's fouled again, and he's a handful in there.
He's got great agility. There's question about whether he can put the ball on the floor, but I think that he can do just about anything he wants to.
3 fouls on Bruce Douglas as Quincy's 4-point lead could go back to 2 if Hampton can be successful at the line. He has 21, and Banks has 17, 38 of Mendel's 44. Amazing. Bottom of the net.
Classic form.
You're one of the many coaches in here would like to have him playing for you. Missed that one. Bruce Douglas has the rebound. Quincy a 3-point advantage, and they have the ball. Can Quincy hold on? Will Mendel come back? Bruce Douglas to Dennis Douglas. He lost control and then almost shot an acrobatic shot along the baseline in. Mendel's got the ball. They could come within 1. DJ, Don Johnson. Left side, Satirial Harris. He's given them a good lift. Give him credit. Playing in a game of his life. 16 years old. Andre Banks operating in the pivot. In the traffic. Andre Banks with 19. Mendel's within 1. The clock says 5 minutes to play. This is the one that puts you on the edge of your seat. And Houston has the ball tipped away by Banks. Mendel could take the lead. Andre Banks, goal! No goal!
Good call.
Foul on Houston.
Good call by Marv Carlson. The foul occurred before he took off on the shot. We'll take a look at it. He pushed it out there. Great hands by Banks. He Brings it up. The foul occurred right there.
Eight of 13 for Quincy foul shooting. Mendel with 5 of 8. Andre Banks made it. Look at the pressure these young people can handle. The game is tied. Mendel Catholic could be pulling here the big upset of the tournament. He made it. Now a whistle, and Mendel says timeout. 4:48 to play. Mendel Catholic leading Quincy. One of your network sponsors is DeKalb Ag Research. Quincy is trying to become the first team to win back-to-back state titles with a perfect record. Frank Bassoni along with Art Timball and Dick Campbell, and gentlemen, what we have here is Star Wars. 1 point. Mendel lead with 4:48 to go in the game.
Both teams with super players that they're going to and are delivering for them. I imagine it's going to be who has the ball last.
Quincy has it now. Mendel has the lead as Andre Banks converted a pair of free throws. Hoffman, number 14, comes up for Quincy. It's a zone defense for Mendel. It's Dennis Douglas, wheels it across to Huseman. Hoffman steps in the paint, comes back outside. Quincy patient. Bruce Douglas missed it. Rebound, Mike Hampton of Mendel. Foul on Dennis Douglas. Third foul on Dennis Douglas.
Take another look in there. He's a little anxious. He reached in after he rebounded it, tried to snap at it, got the ball, but ended up with his forearm.
Now, free throwing, oh so important. Banks just made 2, and Hampton will go to the line now. Hampton has 22 points, and he's made 2 out of 4 free throws. He made that one. That gives Mendel a 2-point lead. Still a lot of time, 4.5 minutes. Mendel by 3. Basketball in the high school level at its very finest. Quincy, the crowd says, come on, Blue Devils. Mendel plays their D. Hoffman lobbed to the goal to Bruce Douglas, intercepted by Andre Banks. There's a cheering Mike Flaherty, the coach of Mendel. He says, move it. Steal by Quincy, whistle first, foul.
Got another defensive change. Coach Leggett come right out on the court here, obstructing our view and making a signal for a change of defenses. Here they are, half-court man-to-man.
That's the change of the defense. And there's Mendel with the basketball. Now 4 minutes to play. Mendel 51, Quincy 48. That's Hampton. Tyrrell Harris lost the handle. Quincy's got the ball. Bruce Douglas on the hunt. Here he comes to the right. He's stripped by Banks, out of bounds, Quincy.
Good play by Banks. Well, there's the junior, Tyrrell Harris, playing a little nervous, and they're not sure what he's supposed to be doing with that ball in this situation with the lead.
You think that Craig McInnes back at the hotel watching on TV. Dennis Douglas was fouled before the shot. Before the shot. And let's see who it's on. It's on 14, Don Johnson. There's 3:49 left. Dennis Douglas with 17 and 3 out of 5 at the foul line so far. Quincy is back within 2. Dennis Douglas plants that big right foot right there and eyes. 2-point game. Mendel has the ball. And for them, the clock now seems like it isn't moving. It says 3:40. Double team by Quincy. Andre Banks helps out. Mendel holding under control. Quincy putting the pressure on. Don Johnson is 14 and Jim Williams outside. Quincy extends their defense. 3 and a 25. Inside it goes. Foul on Quincy. As Satirial Harris got inside and used his weight. And Dennis Douglas has 4.
see that deep penetrating pass into Soteriol along the baseline as he goes up. He's hit pretty good. Soteriol is a 56% free throw shooter. If he ever has made a couple, this is the time to do it.
He missed it. He hasn't scored in the game. Walked away. 51 Mendel, 49 Quincy, 322. 16-year-old Soteriol Harris filling in for the ill Craig McInnes. Shoots and missed, and Quincy rebounds and can tie the game with a goal. Jerry Leggett up. You see him motioning three on the lower part of your screen. Kaufman's outside left. High post is Bruce Douglas. Sparrow, who will take the shot for Quincy? Not anyone. Now they want timeout at the 3:04 mark. Mendel Catholic holding on to a 2-point advantage over the Quincy Blue Devils at 51-49. One of your network sponsors is John Deere. The drama continues. Quincy has appeared a record 25 state tournaments. 3 minutes and 4 seconds to go in the game. Mendel Catholic with a 2-point lead. Quincy the ball. Mendel's 9 out of 14 foul shooting. Quincy's 9 out of 15 foul shooting. How close? Dennis Douglas looking. Comes across to Kaufman, who shoots. Scores! Kaufman.
A very underrated player.
They all deliver in pressure. Sparrow did earlier. Now Kaufman does. The game is tied at 51. Mendel Catholic with the ball. They're looking inside to Hampton or Banks. Hampton's on the left. Banks goes low on the right. They've got to want the ball here. Bad pass. Stolen by Quincy. Soteriol Harris tried to get the ball inside. Quincy calls a play.
To pull him out, I believe. Well, it's to pull him out. He patted the top of his head. I think that's a signal for his four-corner delay game.
With Bruce Douglas operating in the center. Kaufman out here with Houston inside. Sparrow and Douglas. Dennis. 2 minutes, 5 seconds to play. The game is tied. Mark Kaufman hit a big shot to tie it for Quincy, and he's got the ball now.
I think they're ready to go man-to-man.
Under 2 minutes. Still a tie. Quincy has the hammer. Dennis, Douglas on the low left. Bruce Douglas at the high post with the ball. Good picture of it right there. Quincy, four-corner spread.
Here we go, man.
Now the man-to-man D. See what Quincy does?
Well, I guess not.
Well, not yet. They're still double teaming the ball. 1.5 minutes to play. It's tied. The chess match continues. The veteran, Jerry Leggett, 6 years at Quincy. Mike Flaherty, 7 years at Mendel Catholic. Matching wit, team matching skills on the court. And we've come to 1:15. We have no decision. The game is tied.
Making the blue team penetrate.
The official says
or
blue,
come out to play defense.
come and play. Push the defense. Sparrow almost tied up. Mendel wanted a jump ball there. Huseman clears to Dennis Douglas. Under a minute. Game still tied. Will Quincy call timeout here soon? Let's see. Bruce Douglas starts to move. Jerry Leggett says sit down to his team. There you see the clock. He's got his bench sitting. He's up walking. 39 seconds. Quincy the ball. Their winning streak is on the line. They've got 31 in a row this year. They've got 64 in a row 2 years.
Timeout.
Technical foul. Is that what the signal I saw?
Yeah.
Let's see what
He's warned the defense to play, and then they didn't come out. They only had one man out in front when they had two. So it's a technical foul on Mendel.
With 32 seconds to go, a technical foul on Mendel for not coming out and playing defense. And what an incredible thing that is. 51-51. This means Quincy will have a free throw and the ball. They shoot one free throw on this call.
Yes.
All right, who will shoot the free throw?
There he goes.
It's going to be Mark Sparrow, an 83% foul shooter. A technical foul on Mendel Catholic, 32 seconds. He did it. Sparrow did it. Quincy leads by 1, and Quincy has the ball. There's Jerry Leggett talking to his team. There's the crowd. Everyone is up in arms and excited here. Quincy has the ball and a 1-point lead with 32 seconds, and Quincy wants timeout. One of your network sponsors is Country Companies Insurance. One of the fine high school basketball games you'll ever see. Quincy. There's Mike Flaherty talking to Andre Banks of Mendel Catholic. Mendel is down by 1, 52-51, 32 seconds to play, and Quincy has the ball. The lead resulted from a technical foul against Mendel. Bruce Douglas fell down and is fouled by Mike Hampton. Hampton's third foul. 30 seconds on the clock. Bruce Douglas, with 13 points, has made 3 out of 4 free throws in this game.
To go back to that call by Marv Carlson, the official, it was very definitely a correct call. The defense has a responsibility in a tie ball game to come out and play. And if you've got 2 people out in the front court, they've got to put not 1 out, but 2 out. And they failed to do it. He warned them, gave them, and then started the count. And then after the warning, then the technical is assessed.
How do coaches like the rule?
Well, I think it's the answer to the much-hated delay games, the inactivity of many basketball games. And you've got to know the rules, and you have to go ahead and play with that in mind.
The IHSA Network co-sponsors Country Companies Insurance and its nearly 1,000 agents are delighted to have you with us this afternoon. And don't forget, tonight we'll have the title time starting at 6:15, third and then the title game. And then the girls' championships are next Saturday. Class A is at 1 o'clock, Class AA at 8 p.m. And there you see part of this fine crowd at the Assembly Hall. And to say that they've enjoyed this basketball game is not saying near enough. Frank Bassoni, Art Kimball, and Dick Campbell, hope you've enjoyed this action so far. And let's see what's going to happen right now. Bruce Douglas will go to the foul line. Bruce Douglas shoots free throws at 64%. And if he makes 2, Mendel will have to get the ball twice to be able to win. There's 30 seconds left.
Mendel does have 4 timeouts, so they can score and call timeout. And maybe get the chance to intercept on down the court. But a player like this at the free throw line, I don't want to say anything because every time you say something about free throw shooting, you jinx the kid. But he's really their money player by a rather, I guess, understatement.
Mark Dunn, 20, has come into the lineup for Mendel. Missed the 1-and-1. It was tipped out by Huseman. Quincy keeps the ball. That tip out. Bruce Douglas turns. He goes to the basket. He was fouled again. No basket. That doesn't count. Bruce Douglas missed the free throw, and Huseman, with the left hand in the lane, tipped the ball way out, and Quincy kept it. 23 seconds on the clock. You can see it in that upper right-hand corner, and there's the scoreboard. Quincy leading by 1 point. Bruce Douglas will have another chance at the foul line. He was short on the first one, and you can see it from the moment he left his hand. Mendel might ice him here a little bit. They do with a timeout call. Timeout on the court. Quincy leading by 1, 23 seconds. DeKalb Ag Research and your local DeKalb dealer would like to say thank you for the nice comments about our network coverage of these IHSA basketball games. They're proud to be co-sponsors of these telecasts. Dick Campbell, there are times when a cliche works. No one should have to lose in a game like this.
Yes, that's right. And it's particularly tough that an official has to make a call that has such an impact. But the official is right. He has made the call. He made the correct call. He had to. You can't ignore a foul or a rule. You've got to call what you see. And I think he was fully justified in the call he made. We heard him earlier say, "Play ball, Blue." And Blue did not respond in the way the rule book says you have to.
You watch the Quincy cheerleaders. Now you're looking at the Quincy huddle. Now we come down to Bruce Douglas, who's 3 out of 5 at the free throw line in the ball game. He missed his last one, and once again he has a chance to pad Quincy's lead. Jerry Leggett and the magic towel. He put it up to the mouth and watches this. Missed again. Who's got it? Mendel. McCorkle has the ball. 24, McCorkle. Came out of there. 16, 15, 14. Mendel is 1 behind. They want a timeout. Nobody sees the coach. 8, 7, intercepted by Quincy, and then they lost it. Mendel ball with 5 seconds. Mendel ball with 5 seconds. Mike Flaherty was up for a timeout, and nobody saw him. The pass was intercepted by Dennis Douglas. It went through his hands like sand and out of bounds. And now it's Mendel.
We'll take a look at it here. It's incredible the things that are happening right now. He's got the ball. Got the ball. He tries to protect it. Goes between his legs. Strange.
An incredible game from many aspects. There is the Blue Devil mascot. He comes along. Now Mendel Catholic. What are they going to set up? 5 seconds. They haven't a lot of time. They're down by 1 point.
Number one, they'd like to go inside the banks. They probably won't get that. They'd like to go with Hampton on the outside. Johnson is the next logical perimeter shooter. But it might be just whoever has the ball, whoever's open.
Remember how they won the game last night. They won the game 53-51 with a 51 tie. They shot with about 3 seconds. It was missed, and Craig McInnes, their starting center, who's back at the hotel with the flu, tipped it in for the victory. Goodness. And now Mendel tries again for the impossible dream. Williams out of bounds. It comes way out to Hampton. Hampton shoots a 25-footer. Good! It's good! The game is over!
Do you believe that?
The game is over!
Do you believe that?
Hampton has won the game! No, wait a minute. Now I think the officials are saying 1 second left.
No
Let's see.
No time.
No, the game is over.
It's all over.
Quincy's winning streak has ended as Mike Hampton hit a shot from 25 feet. Look at Mendel.
Incredible. Look at this.